here he is in a barbershop, and it is not AI, but on the economy, he's throwing everything at the wall, including what if we just abolish federal taxes?
Do you think it's possible to find a way to eliminate federal taxes?
There is a way.
And how do you feel about it?
In the old days, when we were a smart country, in the 1890s and all, this is when the country was relatively the richest it ever was. It had all tariffs. It didn't have an income tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now we have income taxes, and we have people that are dying. They're paying tax, and they don't have the money to pay the tax. No, in the old days, 1890, 1880, we had so much money, they had to set up committees, blue ribbon committees, how to spend our wealth. We had no idea how to spend it with so much money. Then we went to the income tax system, and the rest is sort of history. But no, there is a way. I mean, if what I'm planning comes out, it's a great question, by the way.
Everyone could attain the American dream.
Sophisticated cat, you know.
Everyone could attain the American dream if it wasn't for the high cost, the burden of high taxes, and we're taxed at every step of the way. Yeah. When we make it, when we spend
regulations. And regulations. So I cut more regulations in 4 years than any other president by 4 times.
Wow.
Now there's giant listeria outbreaks because of it. Also.
Yes, exactly. Now you can't buy a frozen waffle.
Get your boar's head meat complete with disease, with yellow fever, bologna.
I really hope he walked out of that barbershop with a sick fade. Like, don't you?
You're a cool cat, Coolio.
You're a sophisticated cat.
You're an alley cat. You're what are you? By the way, great job reading that question I gave you.
So this is in the Bronx. This is amazing to me. Like, him saying sophisticated cat is just like, it's just like, you're one of the articulate ones, right?
This is the Hillary hot sauce situation.
So here's the thing to remember is like Donald Trump paid $750 in federal income tax in the year 2016.
Good for him.
Who among us, right? Exactly.
Good for him.
When is the last time your fucking federal income tax has been that fucking low? So it is disgusting. And then I just want to bring back, I did this deep dive into this ProPublica report that came out a couple of years ago. Everyone should look at it. They got a bunch of tax documents dumped on them about the richest. This is around the tax discussion when it comes to Trump. But the amount of taxes that billionaires pay and people like Trump pay compared to that guy in the barbershop is wildly different, because let's remember, when they operate at a loss, they can use that against whatever income tax they might own. And many of them keep their personal incomes deliberately low so they don't have to pay. That's totally separate from the wealth and the assets that they have, right? Yeah. So here's Jeff Bezos on the left-hand side. He paid, in the span of a decade,
$1.40.
He paid $1.4 billion on $127 billion. Meanwhile, if you were lucky enough in the last decade to, let's say, your wealth grew, your personal wealth grew, you had $89,000. Okay, that's not even that much. Your wealth grew by $89,000. This is an average household, according to ProPublica. You paid $142,000 in taxes, far more than your wealth grew. So,
because taxes are class management. They are not actually about funding the government. I mean, Stephanie Kelton, in her book, The Deficit Myth, which everyone should read.
I fall asleep to it every night.
Yeah, and I love Stephanie.
I try to get through it.
She's she makes the very strong point that not only running deficits, but even the notion of our tax system. It's not like we pay money. It's not like I send my $100 to the government and the government goes, thanks for that $100. Let me put it, for this missile to go kill people.
Yep.
We make the money. It's an arbitrary system. So this is about class management. It is not actually about how we fund our government. We fund our government by running deficits, by inventing money, and by using our resources, both to export resources, but also consume from other countries.
And
That's where our money comes
with
from.
that money, we subsidize the rich.
Yes.
Let's remember, we are all subsidizing the rich.
Because they run everything.
I also think it's
That's
like
why.
you have that like income washing that's really good for the common man to think that they don't actually they aren't actually greedy, or like Warren Buffett's wearing a regular watch and living in his old house because he is like actually a man of the people, and it's like he is never going to ever have to live paycheck to paycheck, and he wants you to think that he will.
No.
Warren Buffett's the one guy who's like, please tax me more though. Like, do it. Not that much, but tax me more.
Well, but I will say about that thing, and Warren Buffett does say that, Warren Buffett also could voluntarily pay as many taxes as he wants.
Totally.
And all these wealthy people could pay what they want. And you could argue that even from the Gilded Age, and I don't mean the hit show that I love, but I mean the... which I used to hate shows like that, and then
second season really picks up. Like first season, I was like, I'm good, and then second season, just like.
Well, the plot of the Gilded Age season 1 is: will the old woman cross the street and go in another house? That's the entire story.
Spoiler.
Will she go to the house? Will she not go?
That was the entirety of the first joke in history. Okay, will this chicken cross the road? So don't act like it's a weak plot. Okay.
What? Okay, fine. It's one of our fundamental storylines, but I do think that the wealthy in this country who run everything and run the show and run the thing we're streaming on and are, worshiping weird techno-libertarian people who believe that the poor should be made into goo. I mean, go look at the shit that these people, there's a guy out in Silicon Valley trying to build a private city. Sure. And the thing they always leave out is the collective resources. This goes back to my Musk thing with his zip.com, his first thing he did, zip to zip or whatever it was, that what it is that there are white people can exploit government resources to make money, and people of color are called out for exploiting resources, even if they had nothing to do with it, right? Because, obviously we paint the
entitlements.
Picture,
they're all entitlements.
But we also paint the picture as if every person of color is somehow on an entitlement, which is this other layer of bullshit.
Sure.
That there isn't this robust, go to Kalamazoo, Michigan. The most robust class in Kalamazoo, Michigan is the South Asian class. It's not the white people in fucking Kalamazoo.
Right, bitch.
That's right. From Lahore to Islamabad, baby. That
this white man knows too much.
That's because I'm married. I'm married in.
Oh,
so that's my education.
Welcome,
comes from
brethren.
there. But that's the thing. That's the thing that we have to realize. We're all swimming in their pool. Which the last thing I'll say about this
is an above ground pool.
Is it though?
It is an above ground pool. That's the most gross part. At least my working class family had an in-ground pool. But that I will say, looking at the roadmap of everything we're talking about, and I'll leave it for the end just to bake on, is there a solution out of this that is like us playing by the rules? Or is there a need to break social norms to stop the momentum of what's happening
100%.
In the sense, maybe we need to encamp these people?
No. I definitely, I do think we should tax them out of existence. I'm inspired.
I know.
I'm inspired by the people of Sri Lanka, swimming in the presidential palace's pool, when they in massive protests. I one day aspire to not pay for the use of the rich people's pool on an app, but actually just, seize it. Last week we talked about abolishing rent as a radical reshift and thinking of tenants' rights that we need to really utilize.
Tell me about it.
So, but briefly, because Trump got a little wonky there. You don't usually hear Trump get wonky, but he talked about tariffs and talked about how in the 1890s, we had it was great. There was lots of tariffs. And that's because there is a subsect of Republicans, specifically Karl Rove, that loves President McKinley, the 25th president, who raised tariffs by 20%.
Also dodged a bullet.
Okay, I didn't know that. Because I only researched
Almost
him for
married
this.
a terrible person. That's what he means.
Exactly. And it provoked an international round of protectionism that deepened the Great Depression that only was reversed again by FDR when he finally brought tariffs back down. So all of that, again, he keeps on talking about tariffs. It does not work. It affects working people and all people more than anyone else. We have to move on because I want to talk about the state of this race, guys. There was one more thing about Donald Trump. He's going to tank Social Security. Apparently, the insolvency under his plan would increase to like 6 years' time instead of like 11 years' time. Like the idea that Social Security isn't already like on the ropes, it's bad. But
we're like social insecurity, huh?
Oh, yeah. Bam!
Pew, pew, pew.
Why? But they always, I will say that I read that one and I just went, I looked at it, I went, you know, I got to be fair play in this sense that there's always a party saying the other party is going to get rid of Social Security and it never happens and it always gets paid out. So yes, of course his thing would fuck things up. And you know, what it would mean was it wouldn't make Social Security insolvent. It would drive our deficits into the 20-30 trillion dollar range. So that's actually the thing that's even worse. And the guys in that barbershop, I want to say that men in particular, the thinking here with this don't pay taxes, if you go to a casino and you win money, let's say you go to a casino and you win on a slot machine and you win above the payout line, right, which is $1,200. So let's say you win $5,000. The person, they'll come over and they'll say to you, you could pay the tax now, right, and take $3,700, or we can give you that $5,000 cold hard cash, and then we'll give you the slip for the tax, which I've seen people crumple up and throw in the garbage. So that is the thinking. The thinking there with most people who think like that is they don't want to, they're non-consequence thinkers. They just go, I want my money now. And I get it, because when I had no checking account, no credit cards, I couldn't open a bank account, couldn't do anything, I wanted my money now and I didn't care about the next day. And so we do have to consider that all the issues we talk about, that Bernie talks about, all that is what's being reflected there, is a mentality that I understand. I was in that mentality that you only are, you know, if you're going to the Coinstar to like figure out how to pay a bill, which I did for many years, you don't care about whether you owe the government money. You don't care about tax. It's all abstraction. So it's a shame that's the answer. You know?
No, of course, especially because it's just going to, again, siphon more money up to the ultra wealthy.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do